Tuesday, March 26. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom. We start with telecommunications. 10-digit dialing will be mandatory as of March 31 following an extension. This means that as of March 31, if only the 7-digit telephone number is dialed, the call will not be completed and the caller will instead hear the following message from their telecommunications provider, advising to restart the process using the area code before the 7-digit number being dialed. According to the Office of Utilities Regulation, OUR, a 5-month extension was granted following requests from service providers and some of their large business customers to address challenges relating to systems employing machine-to-machine communications and PBX telephone systems. Elizabeth Bennett March, public education specialist at the OUR, explained that extension was granted to allow businesses time to augment their systems, including critical sectors. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton this morning delivered the feature address at the National Consultation Forum on strengthening health services in the context of Zika in Jamaica. The main objectives of the national consultation are to inform Jamaica's medical community about the long-term impact of Zika virus and measures being used to strengthen services in the context of Zika, establishing a joint MOH and assist way forward to enhance and sustain health services in the context of Zika in Jamaica. Zika virus is spread to people through mosquito bites. The Zika virus is transmitted to people primarily through the bite of an infected Aedes species mosquito. The most common symptoms of Zika virus disease are fever, rash, joint pain, and red eye. The illness is usually mild with symptoms lasting from several days to a week. Severe illness requiring hospitalization is uncommon. The number of road fatalities in Jamaica since the start of the year has reached the 100 mark. The Road Safety Unit says this is up from 72 during the similar period last year. There was also a 48% increase in the number of fatal crashes. 90 crashes resulted in deaths versus 61 in 2018. Pedestrians and passengers accounted for 21% of road users killed. Private motor vehicle passengers accounted for 17%, while motorcyclists 30% and private motor vehicle drivers 19%. Senator Pernell Charles Jr. has been appointed as Minister without Portfolio at the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, the MEGJC, which already has 3 ministers without portfolio. Carl Samuda, Mike Henry, and Darrell Vaz are the 3 ministers without portfolio in the ministry, which also has Everald Warmington as a junior minister with responsibility for works in the office of the Prime Minister. Charles Jr. was the junior minister for Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. With the resignation of former Education Minister Ruel Reid from the Senate, the appointment satisfies Jamaica's constitutional requirement that 2 members of the cabinet should come from the upper house. The government now has the authority to spend funds allocated in the 2019-2020 estimates of expenditure following the passage of the Appropriation Act 2019 in the Senate on Friday. This annual bill provides authority for expenditure, other than statutory expenditure, for the financial year 2019-2020 and specifies the manner in which the money is to be allocated to the various services and purposes of the government. The bill was approved following a 5-hour-long debate in the Senate, with senators from both sides making contributions. Piloting the legislation, then Minister of State in the Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Senator Pernell Charles Jr. noted that this is, quote, a budget for every single Jamaican regardless of their status or income bracket, end quote.
This budget is a reflection of the positive strides that we have made, and though we still have much to do as a nation, we are certainly taking control of our future. Mr. President, we are involving and engaging all of our citizens to the extent that we have even a citizen's guide that has been prepared by the Ministry of Finance and Public Service for all to understand the budget.
He pointed out that the budget for the 2019-2020 fiscal year will involve and engage all Jamaicans, adding that the budget illustrates the government's commitment to good fiscal management.
This budget is a culmination of the competence, the confidence, and the compassion of this administration. Yes. It is clear that this administration, led by the Most Honorable Michael Andrew, the Most Honorable Prime Minister, yes, Andrew Holness, yes, is capable and willing to take the bold, creative actions required for this country to take control of its future and maximize its potential.
The Board of Management of Jamaica College says de facto principal Will Reid has been sent on leave amid a major corruption investigation. Reid, who had been Education Minister since 2016, was asked to resign by Prime Minister Andrew Holness last Wednesday amid corruption allegations. In 2016, Reid, who became JC Principal in 2006, was granted 2-year secondment to serve as Education Minister. In 2018, he was given 3 years special leave to continue as a government minister. But with his resignation, the JC board said members agreed that Reid should proceed on leave while it investigates the allegations. In a statement issued to the media, the board also said Wayne Robinson will continue to act as principal. The US dollar on Monday, March 25, ended trading at Jamaican $125.33, up by 14 cents. According to the Bank of Jamaica's daily foreign exchange trading summary, the Canadian dollar ended trading at $95.73, down from $96.49. While the British pound sterling ended trading at Jamaican $163.85, up from $163.06. In regional news, we look to Guyana, where the National Assembly is to resume its sittings following the ruling by the 3-member Court of Appeal that no confidence motion was invalid after the government had challenged a High Court ruling in January, which validated the motion that had been filed by opposition leader Brat Jagdeo. Foreign Affairs Minister and Acting President Carl Greenwich said the business of the nation must resume.
Henceforth, the situation as regards Parliament is restored to the position as at 21st of December prior to the vote. Arrangements will be made for Parliament to meet and conduct its business unhindered. There are no barriers to the President and the Cabinet moving forward as they see fit and without unusual hindrances.
Guyana's main opposition People's Progressive Party has said it will boycott sittings of the National Assembly until the Trinidad-based Caribbean Court of Justice rules on its appeal regarding the vote of no confidence against the coalition government that was passed on December 21st last year.
We have made it clear we'll be respectful of the ruling of the court. We've always been respectful of rulings of the court. One of the reasons we joined the CCJ is to have this external review. And we hope that we will be able to convince the CCJ, and we think we can, that the no confidence motion has been validly passed, and that this strange importation into our constitution of a concept of simple versus absolute majority, when the constitution says the majority of all elected members, that is not enough, or this weird interpretation is not enough to invalidate the vote. So we will continue to argue for GCOM to be prepared for early elections, because there is a great possibility that this adverse ruling could be overturned at the CCJ.
In the meantime, Guyana's ambassador to Cuba, Halim Majid, says President of Guyana, David Granger, has completed the first phase of his medical treatment in Cuba and is said to be steadily improving. Mr. Granger, who was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma last October, had been undergoing chemotherapy in Cuba. St. Vincent and the Grenadines Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves has described last Friday's meeting between 5 CARICOM heads and U.S. President Donald Trump as troubling. Speaking to reporters in Barbados over the weekend, Gonsalves noted that the current CARICOM chairman was not invited to the meeting.
None of those persons was invited. And if it is to be a true CARICOM representation, you must at least have the chairman, so that any discussion of Venezuela in that context, as at Mar-a-Lago, that it cuts across the agreed mechanisms that we have put in place. It doesn't mean that those countries don't have the right as sovereign states to have conversations with whomever they want. But remember, I take you from the revised treaty of Chaguaramas. I take you to the decisions of CARICOM, including the statements, who we have appointed, and the mechanisms. And we in CARICOM have to be very alive to the mischief that some persons may be up to seek to divide us in a manner which we ought not to be divided, and therefore reduce the extent of the efficacy of our work.
The official opening of the CARICOM 11 conference is now underway in Paramaribo, Suriname. The 3-day conference is being held under the theme Preserving Caribbean Heritage. Among the topics to be discussed are capturing and preserving community archives, the Caribbean Heritage Emergency Network, migrated archives, and reparations. Among the presenters are government archivists at the National Archives in Trinidad and Tobago, Avril Belfon and Sonia Black from the University of the West Indies. Suriname Minister of Home Affairs Faisal Mohamed Noor Salim was also a guest speaker at the conference. He spoke on a new initiative, the Caribbean Heritage Emergency Network, or CHEN.
These physical threats and heritage institutions must be addressed immediately, and I'm glad that CARICOM has initiated the Caribbean Heritage Emergency Network, CHEN, and that will be introduced later this morning. In fact, it is important to inform not only the heritage institutions but about this initiative, but also regional bodies like CARICOM and Organization of East Caribbean States about the objectives of the CHEN.
The conference was made possible with collaborative effort of the government of Suriname, the Caribbean branch of the International Council on Archives, and the International Council on Archives. In sports, Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, Olivia Granger, has announced that her ministry will be providing hurdles equipment to schools in a bid to increase participation in hurdling events and build proficiency in the discipline. Granger, who made the announcement at a ceremony to reopen the Stadium East track at Independence Park Complex yesterday, said 25 schools are to benefit in the pilot phase of the initiative being funded by the Sports Development Foundation at a cost of $12.6 million. She credited the board of directors at the Sport Development Foundation for coming up with the idea. Each school will receive 20 hurdles. The schools include Mount Alvernia High School, Merlin-Oty High School, Ireton High School, Green Island High School, Claude McKay High School, Covenant Mercy Academy, Alpha, Christiana High School, Rhodes Hall High School, Gainsted High School, Herbert Morrison Technical High School. And that's the news on PBCJ. I'm Simona Absalom. Pleasant viewing.